Hi everyone. So today I'm going to be actually making not an update video. Um, and actually I'm pre-recording 2 other videos, so you might see me in the same getup and everything, but you'll be seeing those later. Well, my first video today, my first video that I'm recording is going to be about something that is kind of a hard topic for me to talk about. Sorry, my bed's bothering me. But, I'm gonna do it anyway because I feel like it needs to be said. So, from on YouTube a lot, you see a lot of depression and anxiety videos. Or panic attacks, things that people talk about of that nature that they feel like things need to be said about, or, tell you about their personal struggles with it, which I think is very needed, and it's very helpful to those who may feel lost and don't entirely know. I think there's a huge stigma, though, around people who openly express their issues or their hardships, because people think that they're complaining or that they're trying to put themselves on this pedestal or something. There's a huge stigma around it, and I've always experienced the stigma and been a part of it. As I see people in my life talk about their sort of issues and things, and that weirdness that you feel when people almost compete for who has it worse. But today my video isn't about that. My video is about ADHD or ADD, which a lot of people don't feel like exists. There are a lot of people who think that they have ADHD when they don't, and there are a lot of people who do have ADHD and they have it really severely. And on the spectrum, ADHD has a lot of different varieties, I guess. I'm using the term ADHD because I heard somewhere there's a rumor that ADD is not a thing anymore. But I'm going to be telling you my personal experience with it. I was diagnosed with ADD in my 7th grade year of middle school, and it was very, very hard for me to come to terms with. All throughout my 6th grade years, I was struggling immensely with remembering to turn in homework. That was the biggest thing I struggled with. And so my parents took me to the doctor after a lot of being grounded and a lot of, I guess, punishment and no results. They didn't understand why I was constantly getting F's. They couldn't figure it out, especially with my previous record, I guess, as a good kid in elementary school. And once I was given all of this opportunity to do things by myself, I was failing immensely at it. From my perspective, I couldn't remember. And it was just so hard to try and remember all of these different classes all the time, because with the change from having one teacher who knows all of my workload, who only gives me a page of homework a day, that's a lot easier to do than, 6 teachers all giving me different things to do. And I was also part of the International Baccalaureate program, or IB, and this made it significantly harder because IB kids generally have a heavier workload and have more to process, because they're getting college credit usually for their classes, or college recognition at least. So in my 6th grade year, my parents took me to the doctor and we talked about a lot of different things. I don't remember it very well. All I remember was we got questionnaires that they gave to every one of my teachers. And I saw these. I wasn't supposed to see them, but I remember looking through them and being so surprised that my teachers knew me so well, because I had had this idea that my teachers didn't know anything about me. They didn't know who I was. But with my doctor's evaluations from my teachers, my parents, and the things that we described, I was diagnosed with ADHD. And I was given medication for it, which I got Concerta, I believe, was the first medication I tried. It was either that or something else. I'm not entirely sure, but I I'm pretty sure I was on 27 milligrams of it. If that seems like really high, then it probably wasn't that. I just have bad memory. But that was what we decided was the best way to fix it. For the first couple weeks of being on Concerta, I felt immensely sick. A lot of these issues had to do with my diet. Primarily, I lost my appetite. So for the longevity of my middle school experience, I didn't eat. It wasn't that I didn't want to eat, I just didn't feel like I had to. I wasn't hungry. I wasn't feeling any sort of hunger at all. I wouldn't eat breakfast, I wouldn't eat lunch, and I'd eat a little for dinner. As I started to become skinnier, in 8th grade my parents noticed. Now, this is an issue that spanned throughout my whole entire middle school career, but I was on and off medication from the very beginning of 7th grade through 8th grade. I got diagnosed in the summer between my 6th and 7th grade year, so another huge issue for me that I realized in high school was the way that it made me feel. I'm usually very lively or outgoing, perhaps sometimes outgoing. Definitely in middle school I felt like I was really outgoing, but because of my medication I felt sluggish almost. The way that I would describe it is just a blanket was put over my life. I just felt tired, sluggish. I could focus like a miracle. That is probably the only good thing that ever came out of me taking medication for my ADHD, was the amazing ability at which I could focus. I could get so much done in a night where I would usually be messing around doing other things. It was incredible. I could definitely see a difference in that aspect. However, I didn't feel good. I felt very I didn't care. Really apathetic is what I felt, and I talked about it with a lot of my friends, and it wasn't doing it for me. So in 7th grade I stopped taking my meds at a point, and it definitely showed with my grades. And my parents were like, why aren't you taking them? They're supposed to be helping you. We pay all this money for it. You got diagnosed. Why aren't you taking your meds? And we struggled with that for a really long time. My grades got so bad that they decided I shouldn't be part of the IB program anymore, and I moved schools to a different school that didn't have that, and I was in all normal classes, got straight A's again. So I guess my ADHD is not very bad. It's just when I have a huge workload, I don't focus as well, and I usually don't do homework as well either. So after that had happened, in high school we argued about it. I went through periods of not eating, and it was a huge issue, and finally my parents decided, you know what, maybe meds don't work for you, and I definitely graduated, and I passed high school with pretty good grades. Like, my parents never would be mad at me if I had a C, so that wasn't very big of an issue if I did get a C. It's just D's and F's they really didn't like. So, I got some A's, some B's, some C's. Like, I was all over the board, and I didn't do terribly bad. I mean, I got accepted into a college, and that's what I'm doing now. So I don't regret any of my high school, except maybe taking meds and feeling so bad about myself. But this is an issue I've struggled with for a long time, is the point I'm trying to make. So after I decided I didn't want to have meds anymore, I had some serious changes in my life, especially within the last year. So college has definitely been an issue for me. Not an issue. My grades haven't gone down because I've been very diligently working. And I think part of that is because I need to find my own way to do things, and I need to learn to be involved in the moment, which is really hard for someone with ADHD. But there are lots of things you can do, and I just want to make this video to kind of, if you do have ADHD or you feel like you do, you're not alone, which is cliche and it's said a lot, but there are lots of things about it that can be so irritating. For instance, throughout middle school, one of the worst feelings was feeling like I was annoying. Like I was too much and knowing I was too much. For instance, I remember raising my hand, talking to my friends, and just being really hyperactive, I guess, although I wasn't prescribed with the hyperactivity aspect of it. I was more hyperactive than most of my peers, and at times that got so irritating. There were so many times where I hated myself because I felt like I was annoying my friends, but I couldn't stop. I had to talk, and all this energy I had built up, I had to let out somehow. And I remember so many times feeling so annoying, and I still do, because that's just one of the things with ADHD. You are so emotional, I guess. Maybe not emotional, but you have so much energy, and it can feel like you're annoying. And maybe people do think you're annoying, but that is just something that you have to deal with. And most likely, if you have ADHD or ADD, you're a really passionate person, and it's really hard to get over this stigma, especially when people see it's very difficult. It's a terrible, terrible thing to have, because so many people joke about it and don't understand it. They'll be like, oh, I'm so random, I have ADHD, but that's not, being random and having ADHD aren't the same thing, and it's really hard for people to understand that, but I really do feel like you can overcome it. There are lots of places that help to kind of gear you towards calming down and like controlling your ADHD, which I've never done that. I always have wanted to though, but I guess I don't know what I'm trying to say. You should always love yourself. And even though it's hard and you feel like you're annoying people, you feel like you're being too forward, you feel like you're being too into what you do, it's still something that people probably find endearing. And lots of celebrities have ADHD. That's like a huge thing. ADHD is really linked with like creativity and like the ability to think in different ways and a lot of really positive traits. So don't think of it so bad. Don't feel so stifled by it. And if you do take meds, because my sister and my mom both have ADHD and they both take medication for it. My mom takes, I'm pretty sure my mom takes Adderall, and I can't remember what my sister takes, but I know she's taken Focalin and Concerta, as I have, and Ritalin, all, everything under the sky. And my sister feels like she functions a lot better with her medication, and that's awesome, because I'm just so glad that she doesn't have to, I have a really sensitive system, so any medication I take, I was down to 10 milligrams of Focalin, and I would cut them in half, because if I took the whole one, I'd feel so sick, and I wouldn't feel like myself. So if I had to get something done, I'd take half. And it's really terrible to have to live without, I see throughout my whole life, my mom and sister, they'll take their meds, they get things done, and they're so successful. My sister was 4th in her class for a while. Her grades are amazing. She does so well with her medication. So I'm not saying medication doesn't help, but for me, medication doesn't help, and sometimes it won't. So I guess a few good ways for you and anybody who maybe wants to get more organized or something, I don't know. Good ways to create a good work ethic for you is, people with ADHD are really, really forgetful. That's something that I've learned, by trial and error. And things that really help me are writing things down. I write everything down. And because ADHD are so creative, maybe adding different colors could help. The visual stimulation will keep you focused, and it will keep your eye, like it'll catch your eye. So I use, when I'm reading a textbook, I always have a highlighter in my hand, even if I'm not gonna use it, but it helps me focus more because I'm looking for something to highlight, because highlighting is fun. And, you know, anybody who's ever held a marker and played with a marker knows that. You just want to write on everything. So that's a good way to keep yourself focused on what you're doing. Another thing that I use sticky notes everywhere. If not to just kind of give myself, I guess, a prize, I'll put it at the end of like a textbook where I need to finish reading, and once I get there I can color on it or do whatever I need to do, but I'm just always trying to reach that sticky note. And then they're also really helpful with visually putting down, you know, ideas. And a great way I've learned to deal with like focusing, if you can write in your textbooks maybe, or write on the side, it's, everybody tells you this in high school and you just don't realize. If you write down like notes or what you're thinking, so you read something and you're like, oh my gosh, that's surprising, just write that's surprising next to it. It will keep you focused. It really will. And I never did it, and I thought it was stupid and I didn't want to, and I just started this year and it has made a world of difference. I feel like I totally get what I'm doing. Homework is the place where I struggle the most, but a really good way. And I use planners too. Planners are really great ways, and there are different kinds of planners that you should really feel out and see what your favorite is. But those are just some strategies that I use. Another way to kind of get yourself organized and always remember things is to just talk out loud to people about it. So my boyfriend can probably attest to this. I'm constantly telling him what my plans are, and you know, maybe I'm like, oh well, I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this, then I'm gonna do this, or I have to do this, I have to do this, telling myself all the time, or setting reminders. Like on my iPhone I set reminders all the time. But those are just some ways that you can deal with your ADHD. And I feel like this video has been really rambly. I don't know if it'll help anyone. I really hope it does, because YouTube has helped me in so many ways, and I just want to give that back. If you have any like questions or anything, if you're watching this and you're not Kim, then, well, even if you are Kim and you have questions, you can put them below. And just, I really hope this video helped you, and if it didn't, then you wasted your time. I'm sorry. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Bye!